Hey, Tim here. Today we're going to redesign my current product designer portfolio and show you how I went from this to this. And I'm going to take you through step by step exactly why I made the design decisions that I did. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and consider subscribing for more design content. Okay, let's get into it. Here is my current portfolio. As you can see, I like to keep things minimal. This is something that I always strive to do, and I like to give focus to the content and remove any unnecessary visual distractions. But there's definitely a few things I want to touch on here and make improvements when we move to the updated design. So just going through it, we start with an introduction. I like to use my avatar, which kind of gives that personal feel. A fairly minimal navigation there, just focusing on the homepage and the blog content. And as you'll see, the homepage contains quite a lot of information, so there was no need to split out into individual pages. And you'll see that after the headline, we go straight into the selected work. So I found that this works well for me because as soon as people find out what you do, they're going to ask, okay, show me the work that you've produced and the kind of things that you've contributed towards. So this section here is all about my case studies. I've handpicked a selection here of some of the most recent apps that I've worked on at the time, along with some additional pieces with some marketing content and some actual print work there. That is something that I used to do from time to time. We now go through here, we have some social proof, so a little testimonial from a client that I've worked with in the past. And then we go down here into the recent blog post. So as well as having that blog page, I like to keep the latest post on the homepage. So if people are browsing through, they can see the kind of things that I like to write about and give them a quick access to that content there right from the homepage. Third section is around personal projects. So these have pivoted slightly since I first created this page. But nonetheless, this has been good for me to show a side of me that isn't strictly about the product design work, more about some of the other content that I produce on different platforms. And then here, I like to show the book that I'm currently reading. Okay, I do a lot of reading, and I just wanted to show that aspect of my life on the page here. And then we finish off with some social links and a footer here with some links to my CV and a quick link to email. So while this has worked for me up to now, I tend to feel the style is a bit too playful. Although it's minimal, I do feel that these added touches and just some of the colouring used here could definitely be updated to be more in line with my current aesthetic and how I like to position myself online. So some of the things we're going to be looking to change are some of the accents here. These numbers may not add too much, so we're going to look at removing those. And it tends to feel a little bit sparse in terms of the content and how it's been arranged. So we're going to tighten things up and make it a lot more cohesive and consistent as you scroll down the page. So switching to the blog post page, here we have a number of posts, very minimal, listed out here in a vertical fashion, just showing the name of the article and a timestamp. If we go into one of these, you'll see just a mix of formatted text and images with some links to the next article, so you can easily browse through. One of the main things I wanted to address with this redesign was looking at the typography styles used throughout and how we can tighten things up and make things just generally feel more consistent. You can see here that the weight on these headings are fairly bold and they can tend to detract from the content below, and they just tend to feel a bit too heavy compared to the aesthetic that I'm going for at the minute. So you can click through these and go view a case study. Again, very similar to the format of the blog posts, a mix of text, images, and various pieces of content there to illustrate the case study and my particular involvement. So this is my current portfolio. And as mentioned, going forward, I'd like to promote more of the services that I offer and not just focus on the work that I've produced in my day job. So let's jump to the updates. So again, a very minimal look, and this is a wireframe concept that's kind of in between low and high fidelity, but you can start to see how things are taking shape nonetheless. So we're going to keep a fairly minimal navigation at the top, just focus on the word mark. This may change, but it's just clear in terms of who I am, and then going straight into the introduction here. So if we compare this to the current one, there's a lot of focus on the header here when it comes to the name and the job role, whereas I want to flip that and then get straight into that introductory content to tell people about what I do, basically. Some introduction text there to follow on from that heading, and then straight into some kind of social proof. So bringing that testimonial piece right up to the top, just framing the work that I do, kind of giving that focus right from the get-go. So overall, this is very minimal hero section, but I wanted to add some small tweaks to give this a feeling of depth. You can see here with this image, we're just breaking out of the frame, which can be a nice technique to use when you want to add some visual interest and just break out of the norm and do something a bit different. Now, following on from that testimonial, I wanted to add the addition of another level of social proof by listing out some of the companies that I've worked with in the past. And this can be a nice approach, placing these at the top, just below the hero, as it gives that extra level of credibility as people browse through the content. Now, I'm actually working on a product design course right now, so I wanted to start giving parts of that away and just providing more value to people. So we have the CTA section to download your free product design job guide, and then we go straight into the rest of the content. Now, content creation is a big part of what I do now, so I wanted to link off to the various channels where I'm active and where people can find more information and just general value from the things that I produce. And keeping that consistent column grid layout, using similar styles when it comes to the blog post listings and then down to the work. Now, in terms of showcasing work, I wanted to add some visual elements here, just to give a snippet and a bit of a preview of some of the work that I've produced. And then closing at the bottom here with another testimonial and another link to grab that free content. So there's definitely a few areas we're going to tidy up as we move more from low to high fidelity, but this gives us a feeling of the structure, and the general minimal look will remain fairly consistent. I'm reusing certain elements here on the blog listing page, and then clicking through, again, a sample blog post there with text and imagery. And one thing that I didn't quite have nailed down in the previous version is a clear breadcrumb. So just repurposing that heading when you go into a blog post with a smaller text size just gives people an idea of where they are within the site. Again, this concept carries through to the work page, where we can go through and have your content there with the breadcrumb piece. Now, this is going to be more of a long-form content page, as we're going to get right into the case study, talk about the contributions that I've made and some of the metrics that we've been tracking as part of the project, and how the design updates that we've made have had an impact on the business performance and the customer experience. And then a contact page, again, very minimal, but reusing the concepts that we've seen before and just purely focusing on the content here in terms of booking coaching calls and getting in touch with general consultancy inquiries. If we take both designs side by side, you can see there's definitely some similarities, but introducing a further level of refinement when it comes to typography, spacing, and adding in the extra level of social proof and credibility is definitely something that I really want to focus on with this redesign. So one thing that I just want to mention, which I think is really important when approaching your portfolio, is to focus on the type of thing that you love to do. Okay? So if somebody's browsing your site, you want to make sure that the content shown is actually going to be the kind of thing that you want to work on. So if they get in touch about a work inquiry, you want to make sure that it's a good fit, or at least as good of a fit it can be from the get-go. Which is why you want to focus on the areas that you want to do more of. So in this case, I'm really loving content creation right now. So this is something I want to push, and I just want to keep providing value to people. So definitely something that I want to promote in terms of the hierarchy on page here. And in terms of blog posts, this is something that I'm regularly doing now. So I wanted to promote that in terms of the written work that I'm producing. Again, providing extra value to designers looking to learn more. And then the work kind of takes a little bit of a back seat here, but I wanted to bring this up visually by using some imagery so it doesn't get too lost in the page. But it's definitely worth keeping it on the homepage. So if somebody reaches this point, they can see actually this is some of the selection of work that I've been producing, and they can view more and read the case study if they wish. So this redesign might seem fairly minimal in terms of visual design, but this was intentional. I don't want to be following the latest design trends and redesigning my portfolio once a year, which is why I've focused on good spacing, clear typography, and generally shift the focus towards the content. If you found this useful and you want to know more about how to progress in your product design career, book a coaching call with me now. Just follow the link in the description. Don't forget to try these tips out, and I'll see you in the next video.